Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. Massive Beer Review Classics, yes. Old beer. At the same time, yes. I have not had this jam. Actually, that's not true. I've had it recently. I haven't reviewed it in almost 10 years. But I've had it a couple times, but it's been a while. And I saw this on the shelf. I picked it up. Said, I would like this. How much is this? The person said $3.50. I laughed and bought it. I should go back and buy more because I get home and I look. Yeah, that's a 10-year-old beer. Right there. That's a 10-year-old Schneider Aventinus Eisbock. It should be fine. This beer should absolutely 100% hold up to that kind of time. And I'm excited. I'm excited because it's kind of one of my favorite beers of all time, especially like high ABV, like non-barrel aged beer. It just has always been one of those things. I mean, base Schneider Aventinus, absolutely fantastic. The aged Schneider Aventinus, absolutely fantastic. When they're on, the Eisbock is just one of those beers that just kind of just stole my heart when I originally had it decades ago. I reviewed kind of like a 2009 version of this beer-ish back in when it was review number 200 or something like that. So we're talking about 10 years ago, give or take, or 9 years ago, I think it was. God. So it would have been 2015, I guess. So we're looking, right around like maybe 5 years old the beer was, give or take. We're talking about 10 years on this sucker, so I'm kind of excited to see where this lands. What does it say actually on the beer itself? Schneider Aventinus and Son Aventinus Eisbock. Up here we have brewed and bottled by Weisse Brauhaus, Schneider and Son, Klein in Germany. Product of Bavaria, 11.2 ounces. Story time. Aventinus has been well known to be one of the most intense and complex wheat doppelbocks in the world. This was the case in the past, but not anymore. Recently, Hans-Peter Drexler, brewmaster at Schneider and Son, heard stories about some extra special Aventinus resulting from partial freezing during a cold winter transport in the 1930s. He decided to recreate this classic mistake to further concentrate Aventinus into a modern controlled facility. Thus, the Aventinus Eisbock was born. Prost. Yeah. B United import, 12% alcohol by volume. And like I said, I'm almost 100% positive. That means the 36th day of 14, which would put this at like February as far as a bottling date, which makes it actually over 10 years old. Here we go. Let's see where this sucker lands. Nice little hiss on this. Nothing too crazy, but not that I would expect a crazy hiss on the base of this beer to begin with. But I'm kind of curious to see where this sucker lands. Give it a nice pour. We're definitely on point carb-wise. Label-wise, it's one of those things where I don't think the label is absolutely 100% fantastic design. But since this is a classic beer, I love the beer. I've always loved it. I love it because of the beer, not because of the label. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, we're off to an extremely good start. If I hold this up to light, I am getting just super turbid darkness to it. It comes off very much kind of like, Doppelbocky, wheat, Eisenbocky, almost like barley wine-esque as far as kind of like coloration. Hazy, not getting much light fruit through it. Not a big head on it, but if I give it a whirl, it comes back quite decently with that kind of like khaki-ish kind of color, but has that little tinge of wheat on it, which gives it a little bit kind of more of like, I don't know, a little washed out kind of color to it. But it definitely looks a part of a nice beer. And honestly, carbonation on this looks fantastic, so we're off to an extremely good start. Let's get a nose. Man, that smells fan-frickin-tastic. It has a soft little dollop of oxidation to it. Some people would generally just knee-jerk say that sucks. No, I think that little subtle dabs of oxidation can work with a high ABV beer like this, especially at this level when it's been aged so much. So once you get past that soft little dollop, but it's not the leader in the clubhouse, it's something I wanted to mention at the forefront. You're getting this kind of delicious wheat bock kind of fruitiness from it. It's almost, I would akin it more to like a berry kind of fruitiness to it. You know, typically when you think of a Weizenbock, a Wheatbock, you think of more of like a banana phenolic. This comes off slightly more kind of berry, but it's leaning into that little bit of sugar daddy thing, leaning into those date figginess with that little bit of kind of accelerated burnt brown sugar kind of thing that a lot of aged beers tend to, or hopefully lean into if they're kept well. With this beer being, you know, a core 4 minus the sloughing, is that the word we want to use here? The removal of the ice from the beer. Like, I don't, obviously that's not add an ingredient to the beer, but they're freezing it and throwing away the frozen parts and then doing that whole portion of the show and then bottle conditioning it and whatever. So I still think it's a core 4 beer. It's gonna age well if that cap holds, and it's definitely held here. So you get these big berry aromatics that I think is just some kind of morphed kind of transport from when the beer was like more banana forward, and it just leads into that kind of age thing that works really, really well. Like I said, brings those dates, those figgies, those kind of rich kind of flavors to the beer that only age can bring. In a really nice package. It smells really, really beautiful. It doesn't smell like an Eisbock. It smells, again, we're kind of flirting into kind of old ale barley wine at this point, but I think, you know, with that little berry component and with those little drips and drabs of that wheat kind of throwing around there, yes, it's still there, but it's definitely aged in something quite nice. It's got a hefty Merc ring on it, so we know we're dealing with age. Let's just dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's delicious. Absolutely delicious. It's just like a spiciness to this beer. Almost like a rye spiciness to it, which I absolutely 100% did not expect to come through. Or expect to be there, because it's not like I expected to be there to begin with. Really nice mouthfeel to it. Has this density to it, so it hasn't come off thin. Time hasn't treated it badly from an oxidation standpoint, at least from a mouthfeel. You get that touch of like wet paper, but again, touch of oxidation I think kind of helps, or at least for me, is a nice thing in this kind of beer. It lets you know you're drinking something of age. Absolutely drinks well below that 12%. You're not getting that kind of high ABV here. Nothing here is hot or burny. And that datey figgy thing that I love so much when it comes to old ale / barley wine when it gets old, you're getting it here, but much more reserved. Nothing too hyper aggressive. Again, it's a Weizenbock. You're not expecting an over-the-top aggressive kind of malt profile from it, or some kind of aged-out kind of craziness. At the same time, you're getting this nice kind of rich, deep wheat characteristic that's kind of morphed into a little bit of that date figginess that you typically get in barley wine. That rich berry portion of the show that I talked about in the nose 100% comes through in the taste. But everything here is tempered a bit. And that's the thing that I think is cool about the beer, is that it's sturdy, it's big, it's bold, it's rich, but at the same time, it's not like hyper aggressive. It's drinkable. You can drink this beer and not be like, you know, overpowered by it. It's a sipper for sure, but I could see myself drinking this a little bit too quickly. I like it. I like it quite a bit. I'm not going to sit here and pull punches. I expected something a little bit more amazing from it. Just because I have such a history with this beer and I love it so much, I think my expectations might be a little bit bigger than what this beer could probably expect to pull off. Especially being that it's been shelf kept on a weird little beer shop for probably since it was produced. It probably went on that shelf and they're still there from the day they were put on the shelf. No climate control, out, you know, probably got hot in there. They've had taken vacations and closed down for a week kind of thing. Yeah, it's probably not in the best conditions, but it's still damn tasty. And I'm really, really glad I picked it up. $3.50. So $4 essentially, once we hit taxes. You're going to be very hard-pressed to find a $4 10-year-old beer off a shelf in New Jersey or anywhere that drinks close to this. Very fun experience. I should really buy a freshie, go back and get another aged one, and do a side-by-side, because that would be really cool. But we're recording this as this right now, and we're definitely going to post it. So, yeah. There was this wheat base to kind of rewind back to the actual beer review itself. There's definitely a wheat base here. It's definitely a Weizenbock. It definitely has those attributes, but it's morphed into something a little bit more. It has this spiciness, almost like a sarsaparilla, not sarsaparilla, like blackstrap molassesy kind of spiciness, that kind of thing going on with it, with that little bit of date and figginess, and those little berry notes that kind of graduated from that kind of banana to more of a rich kind of dark berry, curry kind of thing going on, and ends up being a really nice beer, especially how well it's kept its carbonation and those kind of things. Fun. Very fun for a classic and an aged beer all wrapped into one. I'm a fan. One of the better Eisenbachs I've had, or Icebox. Eisenbachs? Eisenbachs? I don't know. Icebox that I've had as of late, yes. Mount Rushmore says, actually, yes. Even though I talk about it in more reserved kind of tone, like it's not amazing, I think it's fantastic. I think my expectations got a little bit ahead of me. Value and availability. I mean, availability is going to be very hit or miss on the 10-year-old beer off the shelf. $3.50. That's like almost like I feel bad for buying it at that. Like when a kid rang it up, and the funny part of it is like I popped in this place. I've been there before. I don't remember seeing this there, so I don't know how. It's been there because they've rearranged all the shelves, so it was probably in the back somewhere. But they had several bottles, and I didn't see anything else I liked, and I just figured I'd pop in real quick, and I grabbed this and I went to the counter, and the person who like checks you out is like doing something, and I'm looking around and I saw a $5 minimum on a card, and all I have is a card, nobody has cash. I was like, oh, this is gonna be at least $6 to $8. Rings it up, he's like $3.50. I was like, yeah dude, I don't have cash. He's like, well, it's like $4.12 the tax. He's like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And he just rang me up on it. So yeah, price point, yeah. And leave with it for like, what will you like this? Aged beer. If you like aged beer and Weizenbachs and big beer, you will like this. Schneider Aventinus. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? I'm trying to think. My favorite Schneider Aventinus, honestly, if I'm really going to come down to it, is probably the base Aventinus with age on it, but a specific age. I'm sure if you're in the beer, you've seen these, but they did age bottles of Aventinus, like wrapped in paper, stating the ages on them. There's been a couple of those that have been stellar. If I drank like 10 of them, 2 have been stellar. Random years of those. So they're hit or miss. That might eat this out, but very close. Great beer, great brewery. Always dig what you do. Let's talk about all that stuff down there. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of old beer right now. We'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.